Hey everybody, here we are. So welcome. Today we're going to be talking about breaking the cycle of self-emotional abuse.
You guys, we are so excited to have you here today. And as you come on, be sure to, drop your name in the chat so we know you're here and where you're from. But we're so excited because this webinar we're about to give you is at the heart of pretty much everything we do.
Yes. It's awesome.
Totally true. No, because what we do find is that if we don't self-love and we're giving negative self-talk, it's very hard to get anything done in our life, right?
Mm-hmm. And the core of everything that we do is help people to get down to their truth and to live that authentically. And one of the biggest things that we've come across is people talking smack to themselves. And we've created this as a way to kind of help you to battle that, help you to overcome that, and help you to get back in control of the thoughts that are in your mind.
So this webinar is sort of our gift to kind of improve the emotional health of whoever watches it, because that's kind of, it makes our lives easier, makes your life easier, makes the world's life easier. It's just pretty awesome. So we're going to give you a lot of awesome information today and strategies to help you release self-emotional abuse.
Yes, and this webinar is part of a bigger course on life purpose, finding your life purpose, and trusting yourself again, as well as aligning with your higher self. And we'll give you an opportunity to look at that later at the end of the session. But this is a self-contained unit, so there's a lot of information here. And I see a lot of you coming on already. There's a lot of information here, and we're just going to go into it. We're not really going to have so much time for chat, so leave your comments anyway, leave your messages anyway, leave your questions anyway, and we will get to them as soon as we can. But we've got a lot to cover today.
It's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be fast. So get your pencils and papers ready, because we're going to give you a whole lot of information that you may or may not have heard before. And if you have, it might be in a different way than you've heard it before. So we're so happy. We cannot explain how happy we are.
Yes.
I can't even speak. I'm so happy. Okay.
At the end, we will give you more details on that course, as well as the special price for joining the webinar today.
And an even special price. I mean, we'll show you a way that you can even get it almost for nothing.
Yeah, but that's there.
Capricorn doesn't like me saying
that's not what we're talking about.
Okay, so anyway, for those of you kind of meeting us for the first time, I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
From
ZenRosGarden.com. Helping people create
badass lives.
Because that's just how we do.
So we've been in business together for 10 years, and our whole mission is to help people create badass lives and get to the core of their root issues and, help them. We've helped thousands of clients.
We've had over 8,000 sessions. So we've learned how to crack the code underneath how people operate.
And that's kind of our specialty as we've learned to work together. And kind of my lifetime mission and his before we even met was to kind of crack the code underneath what is
life.
What's underneath everything. How do we crack the code? We can keep swimming on the surface, but unless we find out what that is underneath that's holding us down, we're going to keep swimming and being tied to the bottom of the ocean with an anchor we don't even know is there. So
one of the biggest purposes for us is to help people to create freedom in their life.
So basically, our goal is to help save you money on therapy.
That too.
So are you guys ready to get started?
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you guys are ready to get started. And let's just get into it.
Let's do it. Okay, David's going to put up a slide, and we're going to show you what part of this big course, because this webinar is part of the bigger course that we just told you about.
Right.
But it is self-contained. So we're going to kind of break down the parts of this course as a whole,
and then the part that we're breaking down today. So this is an 8-step system to personal freedom.
System.
It's an 8-step system to personal freedom, to find your life purpose and gain self-trust again.
So we're going to go over these steps a little bit more at the end when we actually tell you about the course. But today we're going to work on step 4, which is breaking the cycle, which is what this course is all about. So let's get to it. Okay, so another slide we're going to show you. Break the cycle. What does it take? This is what we're going to look at today. Of self-emotional abuse, self-sabotage, negative self-talk, and emotional self-harm. First,
we're going to be looking at where the program started.
Because if you don't know where the program started, you don't really know how to unravel it completely and uproot that weed from your garden.
Right. You got to know how to weed your garden. Next, we're going to be getting into animal survival and kind of the primal mechanism of the brain and the primal mechanism of where these programs got started, as well as why.
And then role models and mirrors, like the reason that and how we created the self that we're operating from. as an adult.
You're right. One of the defense mechanisms that created this system of holding our truth back so that we could protect ourselves, and then getting into how we protect ourselves.
All right, so let's get right into it. So,
as well as the ability to bounce back. How are you going to miss that one? You just missed the bounce back.
I was going to like bounce right past it because I'm so ready to get started on my emotional issues. Okay.
So we're going to get all up into that. We're going to come back on screen here now.
Yes, come back on screen.
Awesome.
How to bounce back. I think I've had too much caffeine today. That's what it is. It's that golden dragon tea. Okay.
Right. So first we're going to look at where the program started.
Okay. So let's ask ourselves the question, why do we abuse ourselves emotionally and self-sabotage?
That's a pretty good question.
So to know how to break it, we have to know how it developed.
And why.
So basically negative self-talk develops from the tapes, if they even make those anymore.
From the DVDs.
From recordings.
Yes, from the audio files.
From the audio files that other people gave us. I got an update from the 80s, sorry.
Yeah.
So basically, we have those tapes in our head and we're reacting.
Programs. Let's go with programs.
Programs is good. We're reacting from emotional foundations that we developed in childhood. So we're still playing on those recordings. Make sense?
And in the beginning, in early childhood, we start developing either resiliency, which is the ability to bounce back, or rigidity, when we start feeling threatened and we go into defense. So we start creating these rigid behaviors.
So it's like Tigger mode versus Eeyore mode.
Ooh.
I just came up with that because Winnie the Pooh, and I want to go see Christopher Robin because it's out in the theater. So anyway, resiliency develops as a result of emotional safety and acceptance in childhood. There's your foundation.
There you go. So if you're feeling safe as a child in everything that you're doing, when you're out playing, when you're out navigating the world, and these big, huge adults around you, these big people around you say you're safe, you're secure, don't worry about it, you're having fun, you're playing, you're a kid, then you're going to feel safe to go out into the world and bounce back faster.
And then you're going to be Tigger. Of course, you might need Ritalin. Not that I support Ritalin, but you might need, I don't know, Tigger probably has emotional problems too. But anyway, and you want to be, I'd rather be Tigger than Eeyore.
Right.
So anyway, rigidity is what we're going to talk about next. And rigidity is when you go into animal survival mode. I got my camo shirt on. I'm ready.
Because every animal wears camo.
I don't know.
So rigidity develops as a coping skill from perceived methods of survival. Whenever we're not feeling safe, that animal part steps in to help us to feel safe the best way that possibly can by putting on the defense mode.
So basically rigidity is you're developing fear around what's going on around you. So you're kind of becoming rigid because you're not sure what to do. It's a result of fight or flight over a period of time. Mm-hmm. And your animal brain develops these defenses when you're a child against things that are going on around you. And we'll get into a little bit more how that happens. Right. But I want you right now to drop in the chat the percentage of time you feel emotionally validated as an adult. And this will kind of give you a hint as to where you need to go. Whether
you're rigid or resilient.
And do you need that emotional validation from others?
So let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Do you need that emotional validation from others? Or what percentage of the time do you feel emotionally validated from yourself?
Right.
And what percentage do you need it from other people?
Boom.
So that's what we want to explore. Because if you need like more than 20% from other people, because let's be honest, it's really nice to get that emotional validation from other people, but we shouldn't be relying on it.
If you need it, you need to work on yourself.
Right.
If you appreciate it or enjoy it, but it's not a need, then you're probably pretty healthy in that area.
So I'm just going to kind of take a guess as you guys are thinking about what your answers are. Right. I would guess that if you're about 80% feeling emotionally self-validated, you're doing pretty good because number one, you're human and you're going to have some rough spots we all do.
Right.
And you can kind of go up from 80% up to as high as you need to until you're the Dalai Lama. But if you're less than like 60, 50, 40, then you've definitely got some stuff to work on.
Honestly, most of you are probably here on this webinar for that very same reason.
Because if you were feeling like you're not self-sabotaging, you probably wouldn't be here with us. So
Yes.
just say it.
Yes.
Okay, if this is making sense to you guys, I want you to drop a truth bomb in the comments, or give us a heart or a like or something.
Right.
It looks like you guys are kind of understanding this by your responses. So
Good.
I'm just giving you these nuggets to start thinking about your processes and your responses.
Yep. There
Okay.
it is.
So next section, we're going to talk about role models and mirrors.
So as a child, we're basically dependent upon the big people around us, so the adults, and they become our first mirrors. And that reflection is a self-check to whether or not we're safe or not.
So basically, and little kids, if you know little kids, they're little Spider-Man. They're like mini Spider-Man, right? And they pick things up on a wide bandwidth.
Right.
You know, they're picking up your emotions, they're picking up your moods. It's
Your
not
body language, everything.
It's not just what you're saying to the child, it's how they feel. I mean, they're like the world's best empaths, right? So, but we screw them up by being asshole adults. But anyway, they pick this on this wide frequency of signals, right?
So they're reading between the lines, regardless of what you're saying. Even though you may be speaking one thing, if your actions aren't matching or your body language doesn't match, they're picking up on that.
Right. So the adult is kind of reflecting back what the child thinks is how they're being accepted or rejected. So depending on how the adult reacts to the child is kind of how the child goes, okay, I'm doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep doing that. Or, oh no, I'm not doing that right. I better change that. So let's kind of go into the positive and negative of that. Okay.
And here's the thing with that. If it doesn't matter the parent's intention, it matters the child's perception.
So we're not trying to bag on all parents, because sometimes you have really great parents, but they're just we're human and you might perceive it wrong. And, that's just it. I mean, it's miscommunication all around.
And it's crazy the kinds of things that we see in the line of work that we do with our clients is they can have the best parents in the world, but something got misconstrued along the way, even if they've got great parents with great intentions and the rest of their growing up was great, but there can be an issue that got stuck.
I'm going to tell you a funny story, just super, super quick before we go on to the positive and negative of how you change your behavior because of the mirrors.
Right.
We were driving home with the kids from California, and their dad and my ex-husband had to get to work, and we were in a traffic jam after Thanksgiving, and he had to get to work. Mm-hmm. And the kids were ridiculous. They were little in their car seats and they're crabby because they're in the back seat. So they're getting a really misbehaving behavior. They're throwing, stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck in like dead stop traffic between, Barstow and Vegas. And
things get heightened.
My ex turns around, he goes, you guys need to stop it because I turned around. It was my bad. Yep. I turned around and you guys calm down. We need to get home, because if we don't get home in time for dad to go to work, he's going to get fired. And for years, my little boy thought it meant he was going to get set on fire if he was late to work. He didn't know what fired meant. He thought I literally meant they were going to napalm his dad.
He knew fire. He just didn't know what fired meant.
Fired meant. Job. So that was like my bad parenting moment, number 75. I'm just going to give it a number. So anyway, let's talk about positive. Let's talk about the positive first.
Let's get positive. Wait, that doesn't even make sense.
It's David's music moment.
So when you're a child and your emotions, your needs, your desires are validated, then you feel safe and independent, and you're safe and independent to explore out into the world, to learn, because that's what we do as children. We go out, we explore, we learn, we adventure out into the world. And if the big people around us support that, then we feel safe enough to explore more.
Right. So, and then when things are not just exactly perfect as a child, we're more calm, we're not being reactive. And then in adulthood, we have a more powerful sense of self, and we know that everything is going to be okay. So that's what it looks like in adulthood if you have some resiliency.
So then we go into the negative, where you start feeling bad for your choices or modifying behavior based on what you feel is expected. It doesn't have to be what's actually expected, but it's what you believe is expected. You start to suppress your real self.
Like you're in the back of the car and you think you're going to be responsible for your dad getting blown up by napalm at work. And he probably you know,
I would shut up immediately.
Yeah. So I probably
because I don't want to be in that car when he gets napalm.
I probably need to give my son a session on that.
I think we actually did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, you create, basically you're like suppressing that self because you're getting negative responses back from the parent, intentional or not from the parent.
Right.
So you create this false self that you believe has a better chance of not being rejected, abandoned, or judged.
Boom.
And it's worse if the caretaker. Okay, we're talking about the example
Normal,
I gave was
everyday,
like a normal everyday parent that's
right.
like just, you know, I wasn't trying to damage my child, but if a caretaker has really unpredictable behavior.
Right. We want to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at unpredictable. So if you've got a consistent parent, that's one thing. When you've got a parent that says one thing or does another thing, or is in one mood one moment and another mood in another moment, that child really starts going into, ooh, I don't know what today's going to be. I'm doubting what my day is going to look like.
So it's when you get love one moment and then abuse the next. I mean,
Right.
that's your standard, typical, you know, love and abuse cycle. It's not healthy. So later in life, as they become an adult, that kind of feels normal in a relationship. And
Because you don't know different.
And it's not your best relationship. It's just what you're used to.
Right.
So little side note, this is kind of where the hyper empath gets created. The empath that can't leave the house, that is very, very alert for danger everywhere. The spidey senses are just frazzled, and there's empty wires. There's frayed wires going out in the world and trying to look for the danger.
Your spidey senses then are on overdrive, and you are hyper aware. You are hypersensitive. You are
hypervigilance.
Yes, you're looking for every threat. And what that does internally in your mind is it is putting your spidey senses on overdrive, because you're looking for this perceived threat that may no longer be there, but you're stretching out to the furthest reaches of the universe to make sure that no threat comes through your door.
You're out there in your camo jacket, looking for the mailman,
It's
know,
PTSD,
like,
really.
Oh my gosh, the Amazon delivery guy's coming. There might be a bomb in the packet, you know.
Yeah, whatever it is.
That's it.
Yeah.
So anyway, you're hyper vigilant around your world. So as an adult, you don't feel safe in the world, and you have self-doubt around your decisions. You have this fear of your basic needs not being met. Like, oh my gosh, I hope I can pay my bills. When in fact, right now, you know, your lights might be on, you're fine. You know, you'll figure it out, but you're like freaking out over something that hasn't happened yet.
Right, which ends up making it even worse. Just saying. So then we get into what this creates over time is an inequality in relationships. You're either over sacrificing for others, you become the overextended helper, or the flip side of that is you simply can't compromise. There's no middle ground for you. It's you're right or
my way or the highway.
Exactly. That's the one.
What it is. So you have this inability to compromise.
Right.
And that's really terrible to not have that skill in a relationship. So this goes for friends, family, associates, everything, business people.
Yes.
Then it's the people pleasing that we're talking about. It on the other extreme, if you really want to put it into terms, you're an approval seeker.
Yes. And in that mode, when you've got these caretakers that are in distress or that are wounded, you end up overextending because you're trying to fix your parents so that they can provide for you and keep you safe as a pack animal. Okay. So you're overextending to fix the situation, or hoping to fix the situation or make it better, so that if this person, this caretaker, this big person around you is safe again, then they can take care of you. It's a weird cycle that messes everything
It's
up.
unfortunate. I want to tell you a good parenting moment story, because I just told you a bad parenting moment story.
Right.
So I'll give you one for my kids. When I was little and I would break a dish or something would happen in the kitchen, there would be this huge drama over it.
Right.
And it was like, the dish is broken. How could you do that? Weren't you careful? And I'm like 3, right? So I'm number one, that sends the message to the child that that dish was more valuable than you are.
Yep.
You know, instead of, did you cut yourself? Are you okay? Because there's broken glass now. It's like, oh my gosh. So there's this huge drama around it. So mental note to myself at 4 when I'm not doing that to my kids. So the first time I was almost waiting for them to break a dish. And the first time the oldest one broke a dish, I went, oh, well, get the broom. It's just one thing I don't have to clean, or one thing I don't have to dust, depending on what it was. So that became the ongoing quip whenever somebody broke something. And now my kids are in their 20s and they say the same thing. They'll break a dish or they'll break something stupid and they'll go, oh, well, that's one thing I don't have to dust anymore.
Right.
So
positive parenting moment number 95.
Because, that napalm thing was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, okay, first exercise we're going to give you today. Now, this is a very common metaphysical exercise. I think you probably heard of it from maybe Louise Hay, or some of you that are from the Saturday Night Live earlier 80s generation might have heard it from Al Franken.
Also known as Stuart Smalls.
Stuart Smalley? Stuart Smalley.
Yeah.
I think
he's the one that did that.
Stuart Smalley.
Gosh darn it, people like me.
He's sitting in front of a mirror, and he's so cheesy, and he's got a funny sweater on, and he's super neurotic, but he's looking in the mirror, saying, gosh darn it, people like me, and I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and he's reflecting this back to us. But it really is kind of a valid exercise.
Right.
And we all look in the mirror every day. So I think you can incorporate it very, very, very easily into your daily life with a little bit of intention.
And this is a great way to begin reprogramming those programs in your mind, those tapes that nobody uses anymore, those programs in your mind. It's a great way to start reprogramming. So it's a very simple exercise. Basically, what you do is you look in the mirror, and you can do this out loud. It's much more effective if you have the ability to do it out loud. But if you can do it in your mind, it'll be just as effective. Well, it'll be as effective. It'll be even better if you can do it out loud and not have all your roommates think you're crazy.
Maybe not do it in public, but
in a public bathroom. What you're doing is you're looking in the mirror at yourself, and you're saying, whatever positive, if you notice any programs, any negative programs, I want you to take those programs and I want you to literally flip the opposite program. And I want you to repeat that back to yourself. At first, it's going to feel like it's make-believe. At first, you're making shit up. But over time, continue to instill that program. And what you will do is eventually literally rewire your neurons, rewire your pathways inside of your mind.
What I want you to do is just pick one thing, though.
Yes, pick one thing at a time.
I think the mistake people make with these kinds of mirror exercises, they overcomplicate them. Just pick one thing that tends to come up over and over, like, oh my gosh, I'm fat. Oh my gosh, I'm ugly. Oh my God. It could be something really simple like that. Don't start with, oh my gosh, I'm a people pleaser with all these complex emotional problems.
Right.
Just start with something simple. Like, it could be something physical, like, every time you look in the mirror, you don't want to look in the mirror because you feel fat, right? I know a lot of women who avoid the mirror because they don't want to see that they've gained 5 pounds. Flip that and start saying, I am a voluptuous goddess.
There you go. Whatever the opposite of the program that keeps going in your mind that is probably not even yours, flip it around into something that works better for you.
So if this is making sense to you guys, drop a truth bomb in the comments and we will be moving on. But it looks like you guys are getting this. I'm loving this. You guys
the
are
excitement you guys are bringing is amazing.
I super love it. Okay. So now I want to talk about how we protect ourselves. That's the next section.
So who's actually running the show?
Because you can't really know how to move forward until you really know who is running the show. So sometimes your false self that you've created, this one that's been accepted,
your defense mechanism, your mask that has been put on that was safe,
has been running the show for so long that to avoid rejection that you don't even know who is running the show. So you have to kind of look at your life to kind of determine who is actually running the show.
Right.
So if you are self-punishing all the time according to whatever emotional foundations in place, if you find yourself sabotaging, self-rejecting, self-negative talking, you know that the false self is in control. It's not your true self that loves yourself and is your own best friend.
Because ultimately, when you boil it down, there are 2 root emotions, and you're either operating from one of these 2. It's either fear or love. And if it's a negative program, it's operating from fear. If it's a positive program, it's operating from love. Simple as that.
I'm going to illustrate this a little bit more. So when we're born, we're this little ball of id, and it's like your ball of id, you're experiencing, you're touching, you're like, oh, what's this? It's just fun. And you're experimenting and you're just taking in as much sensory information at a time. It's like, it's me, it's a toddler. It's me. It's me.
It's me. It's a toddler. You're a bunch of id.
Well, I feel like a bunch of id, like I want to experience, but it's like a toddler who's just exploring and experiencing.
And if anybody's wondering what id actually is, it's more of your primal self. It's like your animal self coming into the world of exploration.
Yeah, it's like I explain it like the id is like that primal exploration part of you. It's like, a toddler or me after 3 glasses of wine. So it's, so it's like, it is true. I'm one of those happy, love, cuddly, experiencing drunks. I don't get drunk because I'm a lightweight. And 2 glasses of wine,
lightweight.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So we self-punish as adults. This is the part I want you to hear. We self-punish and continue to self-punish as adults in order to remain emotionally safe.
And the reason for that.
No, let me
go do it. Do it.
You just hijacked my brain. Okay. We self-punish. Like you can hear it again.
Yeah.
We self-punish in order to remain emotionally safe. But the irony of this is that we're making ourselves less emotionally safe by trying to keep ourselves emotionally safe by self-punishing.
Boom.
Now you can drop the mic. I'll drop my clicker.
Don't drop the clicker.
Mic.
Okay, so the reason for that is because when we're a child, these programs get put into our brain. And as a child, especially before the age of 13, we just accept everything that comes in. And then as we get to the age of 13, we start accepting or rejecting new things based on those programs that are already there, even though they're not ours. So over time, what we end up doing as a way of keeping emotionally safe is we perpetuate the program and we start making that program our own, even though it's not our own. We continue repeating it because it's the only thing we know.
And that's how your brain works. I mean, plain and simple. So you're not broken. Your brain's just working as it's supposed to work. It's just responding to what's already there. So
your brain is working as designed.
That's why we do these things like the mirror exercise and intentionally. This is how we, put in, Heather 2018. And we like update it. We stick in the disk or whatever you do nowadays. So I want to talk about what happens with our authentic self, because that authentic self is always trying to reemerge.
Yes.
It knows, even though your brain's working as designed, your soul, that intangible mystery, that higher self, whatever that is that we can't really put into words, is always trying to reemerge and go, hey, let's get you back to truth. Let's get you back to peace and tranquility and contentment. But what happens when our authentic self tries to come forward is that we criticize it and we push it back to the back of the plane.
And the reason for that is because that false self, our protector, is trying to do the best it can to keep us safe from what it believes to be a threat. And it believes that the higher self, because at one time your true self was not safe, is a threat because it's going to get you in trouble again. It's going to get that same reaction that it got way back when now, even though it's not true. But that protector is keeping you safe by squashing the higher self.
It's going to keep kicking it to the back of the plane. For me, it's the plane. For David, it's always the basement. I don't know why. Mine is like, kick it to the back of the plane. You know, and it's like, you come to the back of the plane, get the ropes off. Higher self is like, I don't know why that's my metaphor, but it is. David's is the basement. So anyway, let's move on. And I want to give you now the 3-part formula for bouncing back. Okay, so this is a simple thing we want to leave you with. This is the second exercise that we're going to leave you with, that you can take into your life and start really thinking about and dissecting and unraveling your mystery and starting your emotional rescue mission back to your that bridge that got broken in the middle. Yep. Okay, so here we go. David's going to bring a slide up for you.
I would love to.
Okay.
All right, let's go with a slide.
Yeah, here we go. He's trying to find the slide. Tech support. Okay, pay no attention to the technical mishaps. I'm going to do some like distracting movements, jazz hands and stuff until David gets the slide. Oh my gosh,
jazz hands and stuff. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay.
That's fine.
So
there we go. Okay, the 3-part formula for bouncing back. Okay, this is what your child self still needs from you so that you can bring your child self into the adult world and kind of,
know that you are a lovable individual.
Yes. Okay.
And that you are priceless.
Well, I want to talk about that in step 3.
Okay.
First, I want to talk about
the first part.
Yes, the first part
is the physical comfort Knowing that you are absolutely safe physically, that if you're out in the wild, you're not going to be eaten by some animal because your big people around you, the caretakers, are taking care of you physically.
So what we mean by physical comfort goes so much deeper than just you have a place to sleep, you have a place, food in the fridge, you have all of these things. It really boils down to, do you feel physically safe?
Yes.
Period. Because that's the number one thing. Are you getting hit at home? Are you getting, are you feeling unsafe in your own space? So are you physically feeling safe?
Can you sleep through the night without fear? That would be another one.
And this goes, this is intense topic for kids who've been sexually abused in their home.
Physically abused.
Sexually, physically abused. And that's a big thing. It's like they have a really hard time feeling physically safe as adults.
Right. And that takes a lot of rewiring and a lot of basically becoming your own protector and providing that safety for that child self inside of you.
So these are foundational. These three are foundational elements for you to be a resilient adult. Foundational. This is the minimum requirement.
For you to be able to bounce back.
So number 2 has to do with your creative life.
Feeling independent and supported in your exploration of the world. Now, I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's feeling independent, being able to walk out of the world, navigate the world, and supported in that independence.
And this one has to do with, the first one, your fear might be abandonment, right? And this one right here might be judgment, because those are the 3 fears we talked about in the beginning. So number 2 I said judgment, right?
Yes.
So judgment is you're doing things, you're creating things. And if you're constantly judged for what you create, and what you create is bad, or how you express yourself is bad, then you're going to have this fear of judgment. So with physical comfort, you're going to have that fear of abandonment. And number 2, you're going to have that fear of judgment. So now let's talk about number 3.
Number 3 would be the unconditional love, knowing that you are loved regardless of what you do, separating what you do from who you are. Who you are is your core. What you do is an extension of that. And as a child, if you know that you experience that unconditional love, regardless of what you do, then you feel safer to go out into the world.
And the fear here that comes with not having unconditional love is rejection.
Bam.
So physical comfort, abandonment, independent and support, judgment. Number 3, it is rejection. So I want to talk about unconditional love because it is so often misconveyed, misunderstood, and misinterpreted. So unconditional love means knowing you are lovable and priceless, and that your market value does not go up and down according to did I paint a good painting or not? Did I give a good speech or not? Am I giving this webinar in a good way or not? Your sense of lovability and your self-worth and your value do not go up and down with that.
Right.
And this has a lot to do with your ability to self-love and accept yourself. Because if you're given that unconditional love and acceptance from your parents, you can love and accept yourself. And as you create things in your world, according to number 2, you don't feel like your value, your lovability is dependent on what you create in step number 2. And I want to talk about this second part of this, which I feel is really important. Not everybody is going to love you as an adult
the way that you think you need it.
Right. And so your resiliency is going to come when it's okay if they love you or they don't love you.
And one of my greatest quotes here is, if you reject yourself, nobody can accept you. If you accept yourself, nobody can reject you.
That's it.
So it's all up to you whether or not you get accepted or not. And the other flip side to that is that a lot of times we're taught that we've got to love everybody, love others as you want to be loved. But if you don't know how to be loved, then you're never going to be able to really love anybody else to an extent that is unconditional.
Well, that's a tough one, because then if you don't know how to love yourself and accept yourself, then loving others as you want to be loved turns into people pleasing, and then you have expectation to get something back, and you feel rejected and resentment.
And that creates rigidity, not resilience, not the ability to bounce back. The ability to bounce back comes from knowing how much your value and your worth is, regardless of what you do. Thereby, you can see that in other people. So you can bounce back and you can help other people bounce back.
So I want I want to come back on screen here and just kind of tell you sort of a little personal story before we go into this meditation that David's going to take you to. And the meditation David's going to take you through is to help instill these three parts,
pieces,
these three core foundational pieces that you might have been missing to become a resilient adult. And so we're going to kind of take you through meditation to kind of become a healthy parent to yourself and kind of fill in the pieces intentionally.
And go on that emotional rescue mission for that child.
Which is why I got my camo on and you got your Buddha shirt on.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Spiritual warrior shit and shit.
Camo Buddha. I
got my camo. You got your Buddha. I didn't even plan it. We didn't even think about the metaphor before we got dressed for the day, but it's like kind of perfect. So I want to tell you the story about, for me, one of the times when I going, because you might go back to a place like this in David's meditation. And I believe that I went back to this place in one of the meditations he did previously about this topic. So when I had my daughter, my mom came to visit. And she stayed with me for a couple of weeks to help me take care of the baby. And she was walking up and down holding Savannah. And she was like, she's just like you. She's so bubbly and fun and all of this kind of stuff. So you kind of feel her personality. And I thought I was a really shy kid. Because she said, you were really outgoing as a kid and you did all this stuff. And I always had this belief that I was super shy. So I went back to a memory in one of these meditations, and I remembered a moment where my mom was introducing me to someone at church, and there was this one guy at church that I really loved, and I go hold his hand. He was like a grandpa guy, and I totally loved him. I was really outgoing with him, and he told me stories, and he was like just a really cool guy. Mm-hmm. So she introduced me to another kind of grandpa guy in the church. And I was like 6 years old or something. And she goes, this is so-and-so. And I got really scared of him for some reason. I was probably feeling something, not against him or anything, but I was feeling something I wasn't sure of.
Right. So not feeling safe in the moment.
Yeah. So I kind of stepped behind my mom like this, like I don't want to be introduced. So kids kind of show you how they feel right away, right? There's no like, you're not being polite. Nice to meet you. Like this guy's an asshole. There's none of that we learn as adults.
Right.
So instead of kind of saying, kind of saying something else, she says, what, she's really shy, which apparently was not true up to that point. Because I thought about it after the meditation, after my mom said what she said. And I remember those earlier memories that I really wasn't shy. I was running around saying hi to everybody in church and hanging out and doing all that stuff, which is exactly what my daughter did as a little girl. Mm-hmm. So I started to rethink this shyness. So I recognized that I had reinforced the program that I had got from an adult when she told me I was shy in front of someone. So I said, it must be true. And shyness can protect me from any perceived dangers that I see out there.
Right.
So I started creating the shyness program and the being timid and scared of being out there, because most people in my adult life go, you're really outgoing and all that. But I had this period when I was growing up that I was like timid as a church mouse, if you want to go there.
It became a survival program that at one point kept her safe, that continued to propagate as a method of continuing to keep her safe from any perceived threat in that scenario.
So I noticed the pattern as I analyzed the pattern of my adult life since then. And whenever I saw a threat or a person I wasn't sure of, I wouldn't confront it. I would just kind of go, I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. My spidey senses were like hyper empath mode, and I was seeing a threat where there wasn't really a threat. And
going to the default program.
Right.
So until you rewire it, your default programs continue running in the background.
But I rewired it, and now I'm not afraid of talking to anybody. I'm just like, hey.
She ain't afraid of no ghost.
So let's kick off your emotional rescue mission with David and see where it takes you. He's going to bring up our little.
Yep. There we go. All right. So as we go through this process, for anybody who's done a meditation with me before, you're familiar with the process. And if you haven't done a meditation yet, I want you to let your mind take you wherever you need to go. There's a wonderful part inside of your mind that knows what got stuck, where it got stuck, and how to release it. It also knows the right journey to take you on today. So it may follow along with me, and you might go on the journey that I take you on, or your mind may take you on a completely different journey. That's perfectly okay. That is your mind, once again, working as designed. That wonderful part inside of your mind that knows exactly what you need. So today we're going to be going on an emotional rescue mission to reclaim your programs and to rewire your programs. So take a moment now, bringing your attention to your breathing, relaxing, releasing, and letting go of any thoughts, any stress, any pressure. Letting any of the thoughts of your day come on in and drift on by like a bird or a cloud in the sky, drifting further and further with every breath. Noticing any weight that you've been carrying on your shoulders melting away. Any stress, any pressure that you've been carrying around melting away. And imagine now stepping into your most perfect place. This is a place where you are absolutely safe and secure, a place where you can allow that creative imagination to run wild. And in that perfect place, noticing whether you are indoors or outdoors, whether it is daytime or nighttime. And imagine now that wonderful part inside of your mind that knows the right journey that you need to go on, that knows whatever it is throughout your mind that got stuck, where it got stuck, and how to release it. To bring up one specific memory that holds a key to your release. That one specific memory when you stopped living your truth for family survival. And just set the intention. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to search for it. That part inside of your mind knows exactly the right memory to bring up to the surface, and it will bring up that perfect memory when it's time. Now just allow that memory to come into your mind, letting your mind bounce from one thought to another thought, one memory to another memory, until that specific memory comes into the surface of your mind. Whenever that specific memory comes into the surface of your mind, I want you to imagine that scenario, that situation, that circumstance, the people around you in that moment as that child, that one moment when you stopped living your truth, the one moment that has that key to reignite and reclaim your personal truth and your personal program. And I want you to imagine taking a moment, stepping back from that situation, like it were a movie. And I want you to observe that movie. And then I want you to imagine in that movie your most perfect father coming into that child, taking him by the hand, removing him from whatever situation created the program that this child had to stop living their truth, had to stop being who they are on their inside, on the authentic, genuine, soul truth, taking them somewhere else through space and time. And I want you to imagine, if you were that child's perfect father, where you would take them. In the entire universe, where would you take that child so they could feel safe again, living their truth? And what would you tell that child, if you were that child's perfect father, to rewire that moment, that memory, to reclaim the ability to program your own way? And then I want you to imagine, as that perfect father, calling in the most perfect mother to give that child one of the greatest hugs in the world, to show that child the ability to feel absolutely and unconditionally loved. Because from the eyes of that perfect mother, that child has never made a mistake. That child has never done anything wrong, even when they thought they did. Because that perfect mother and that perfect father are well aware that that child is exploring and learning about life around them, as well as exploring and learning about the truth inside of them, to see if that truth inside matches the world outside. And then I want you to imagine how that child would feel with that perfect mother and that perfect father as they go out and explore the world itself. And I want you to imagine how it would feel as that child to hold on to your truth and to explore with joy, with safety and security, curiosity. And I want you to imagine what it would feel like for that childlike curiosity to come back to you, curious about life itself. And then I want you to imagine that child as they adventure through life, as they wander through life, finding one particular object that will help you to remember that child inside of you who has always been free, even when they thought they were locked away, has always been strong and powerful in their truth, even when you thought you had to lock them up. And I want you to imagine that child handing you that object that will unlock your truth. And I want you to feel what happens as you receive that gift, that object from that child, that perfect, beautiful, amazing child. And I want you to feel that part inside of you unlock your ability to program your own life on your own terms from your own truth. And then I want you to begin to feel that child blending, melding, merging, becoming one with you again. That most perfect mother blending, melding, merging, becoming one with you again. And that most perfect father blending, melding, merging, becoming one with you again. A beautiful reunion from the inside out. Remembering from this moment forward that you are the one in control. That you are the one that decides what kind of an adventure you take on life. No matter how long it's going to take you to live your truth, it's time for you to start today. So bring that back with you to present state, present time, releasing any thoughts and programs that no longer fit your absolute soul truth, and calling back to you all of those programs that do belong to you, that do fit with your absolute soul truth. Feeling all of those pieces and parts coming back now, and bringing back with you all of those pieces and parts, filling up every single empty space or place inside, allowing you in this moment to feel whole, full, and complete. Back to present state, back to present time, and opening your eyes when you're ready.
All right, guys. Okay. Yeah. He's awesome. I love hearing his meditation. I just like, so I want you to, pay attention and think about any tears that might have come up or emotional responses that you had, and just know that those are kind of the tip of the iceberg, and sometimes those little tears that we fight back are actually this tip of what's this mountain of invalidated emotions that we've been carrying around with us for so long that are so unnecessary.
And the keys to releasing that is giving yourself the freedom to explore the emotions as they come up. Give yourself the freedom to let that child self feel what they need to until they're done.
So I want to have you put in the chat what age you were in the meditation. Just kind of how old were you in the meditation in your journey? Were you the age you are now? What, as a little kid?
Right. How old were you? And what was your object?
Yes.
What was the object that unlocked your truth and your ability to program again?
So as you're thinking about that and writing down any thoughts that came up, we want to hear what you have to say and what you experienced. And we're going to go ahead and tell you about the course that this is a part of.
Right.
So this is a part of the 8-step program that we've developed on helping you to find life purpose and self-trust. So it's a 4-hour masterclass that is all done and produced and ready to go on our course platform. And it's about taking your skills from basic to badass in 4 hours. So it's a lot of material. If you guys have had courses with us before or webinars or whatever in-person sessions, we pack a boatload into our courses.
Yes.
So what is it? It's aligning with your higher self connection, a blueprint for finding your life purpose and self-trust.
And if you choose the full course price or the discounted course price that we're going to give you here momentarily, then you've got access to the course with bonuses, and it's a lifetime access, including all of the course updates.
Yes. So right there at the retail price that you're going to see when you go on the site, you're going to get a huge bang for your buck. But we're going to give you a better deal if you just stick with us. So
So I'm going to put up a offer. If you guys want the course for $100 off the listed price, and I'm going to put that offer up now. But wait to the end because we got an even better offer for you.
Right. So you can go ahead and take the $100 off the price that's listed on the website now, or you can wait to see how you can get it even cheaper.
So let's go into why this training is so important.
Okay. For number one, to know and trust yourself again. I mean, we all want that, right?
Absolutely. It also allows you the freedom to connect and align with your higher self, your true self, your authentic self, your genuine, real on the inside self.
And helping you understand the importance and practice of self-love. How do we actually self-love? That's a big mystery.
And once you get all of these parts locked in, then you begin to know and align with your purpose, with your life purpose.
It just kind of naturally falls into place, but naturally because we give you techniques in the course. So let's hit the slide we showed you in the beginning. We're going to show you again, which is all the 8 steps. We're going to tell you what the steps are, so you can have a really good idea of what is in the course.
Yes.
And it will show that to you as soon as my tech support finds the slide. It's happening right now.
In the background.
In a second.
We're having some technical difficulties.
5. I'm going to have faith. 4, 3, 2. Okay, slide is not coming up.
So,
okay, I'm going to just start telling you what the steps are, and David's going to figure out the slide. So the 8-step system to personal freedom is part 1. Step 1 is the meaning of life. Step 2 is your creation of self, how we created ourselves. Like the meaning of life, we're just going to start off right away with that. So the whole course starts off with what is the meaning of life and why am I here? And then how we created ourself. And that's our false self, our ego, our id, our higher self, our lower self, our false ego, our true ego. We go into all those parts of self that are a mystery to most people, but we're going to kind of tell you what they all mean. And then part 3, step 3, is how to use your tools. David's going to find it. Like as soon as I'm done with the steps, he's going to find the slide. Okay. Using your tools, how to use your tools, and then breaking the cycle is step number 4. And that we went into today. That was most of today's workshop webinar, but we go into it from different angles in the actual workshop. So what you got here on this webinar be in step 4 of the workshop. However, this webinar will probably be in the bonus materials or one of the webinars because we've done a few of these. So you will have this webinar material in the bonus parts of the actual course. Okay, and the next part is step number 5, reprogramming. And this is how to change some technical, practical technical techniques of how to change the program themselves.
Right.
And then step number 6 is learning to trust your truth. Step number 7 is just this reboot of the higher self. And step number 8 is knowing and understanding your calling. So those are the 8 steps.
Okay, so it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. So it looks also like that's about as big as we're going to get.
Okay, so that's as big as we're going to get.
That's as big as we're going to get.
That's just fine. So we're going to go ahead and tell you what it is. Okay, you're going to get it if you go to the website. You're going to get a list price for it. But if you take this offer, you're going to get $100 off. Why are we giving you that deal? Because we want you to be our proof. Your success is our legacy.
Yep.
So you can get started there by clicking this offer. This is a special webinar offer, $100 off. But we are going to tell you in just a second how to get it even better. But first of all, what are you going to do?
You're going to do it yourself and go through all of the hassle that we did over the 10 years that it took for us to create this course? Or are you going to let us help you?
Let us help you because we like to save money on therapy. We like to save you money on therapy. Yep. And we want you to get there fast. And we like to crack the code. And we get, honestly, to be really honest, this is my selfish reason, because I get a high off of seeing how fast our clients get to their truth after months and months and sometimes years of therapy, traditional therapy.
So once again, this is the how to find your life purpose and self-trust, taking your skills from basic to badass in 4 hours, aligning with your higher self connection, a blueprint for finding your life purpose and self-trust. We also do have different easy payment options available. If you wanted to pay for the course just by itself, if you didn't want anything else, that's an option. You could do it that way.
And you've got lifetime access once you're in the course with all the bonuses that we put up.
Right. So any course that you get lifetime access with any bonuses, anything that we add to it, any evolutions that we have, or we have an even better option.
Yes. So this is how you get this for a fraction of the cost of the course. Monthly course memberships.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Why would you do that?
Because we want you guys to get it all. Again, we said your success is our legacy. We want to make that easy for you guys because we know that when you're starting your journey of self-help, you got to get a little skin in the game. And it's kind of hard to do that because you're spending money. But until you start to make that investment, and an investment in self-help and self-improvement is an act of self-love.
Yes.
But you got to get a little bit of skin in the game and get a little bit invested in yourself. So this is why we created our course memberships.
And with this, we do new lessons weekly. So every lesson that we do, as we're recording them, we upload them and you get access to those. You also get new courses roughly about monthly, and you get all of that
for only $49.97 a month. So, and you can get started for $1 today, right now.
$1.
So you get started for $1 and you can, and then it'll charge you whenever that charging cycle is. But the second full month, you will start to get charged the $49.97 a month, which is a great price because we've already got a lot of courses on there that are super valuable. And you're going to love them, and you can just browse to your heart's content and binge watch all you need to. And there will always be new material coming up.
Yes, because that's what we do. That's one of our missions in life, is to educate. So we are teachers. We're teachers across the board. That's what we do. We teach people to crack the codes like we have. So go to the link on the screen, or I will put that in chat as well.
David's going to put the link to the memberships in the chat, so you guys can just click on that. It should say HTTP blah 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 computer guy stuff generalstarting.com /memberships.
So it's in the chat now. Check that out. Also, what to do next from here, you go to that link there, enter your information, set up your account, check your email, and start creating your badass life. It is really that simple.
So we made it easy for you guys. You want to pay the full retail price? Fine, go ahead and do that. You want to pay the special webinar price you can only get through this webinar for $100 off? Do that.
If you want to take the individual courses themselves, you could do that too.
Yep.
But we prefer the memberships because that's where you get to get it all.
Right. And there's other features on our course platform too. Like if you wanted to, you could even break these down and take them as individual sections, like section.
Right. If you're just interested in one section, then we'll have that available for you too.
But the best price is the basic membership, the $49.97 a month. And you can that's a never ending, almost unlimited supply of courses. So, and we also, for you bougie people, have a VIP membership.
If you really want all of it and then some.
Yeah. So you'll have to go to the website to see exactly what the goodies are you get in the VIP membership, which is a little bit more, like I said, if you're bougie and you want it all.
Trust me, the VIP membership is worth it. Anything that we do, we like to give a tremendous amount of value because that's what we would want as a student. That's what we would want as somebody who would be taking courses like this.
So we're going to come back on screen.
Okay. So
thank you guys so much for joining us. And we come on and take some classes, and we look forward to having you join us in the future. We know you could be doing anything else today, and we're just so happy that you spent this time with us.
Absolutely. So once again, thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for spending your time. We know that time is a very valuable resource, and the fact that you've chosen to spend that with us today, we absolutely appreciate that, and we thank you. We will catch you around.
We'll see you soon.
All right.